Okay, while I am out at professional development, you will be working on quadratic regression while you're with the sub. And you have this packet of papers. And it talks about it being 5.8, but this is really section 5.3. Okay, quadratic regression. And on the back of the second sheet, it has these nice little steps for entering. So we're going to look at this data for this first problem and make sure you can enter this and use quadratic regression. So if you grab a calculator, let's turn it on. We're going to clear the memory. So remember, second plus 712. Okay, now this is the data we're going to enter, and this is angle is going to go in list 1, and distance is going to go in list 2. Okay, so on our directions it says press the stat button and then choose edit. So I'm pressing the stat button and choosing edit, so going into enter, and I'm going to type all of my angles in L1. So 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Oops, I went too far. So I went too far because I wasn't paying attention, so I can delete it. Okay, then I'm going to put all of my y's, all of my distances in list 2. Arrow over, and I'll enter 372, 462, 509, 501, 437, 323. Okay, now the directions say we're going to look at the stat plot. We want to see what this graph looks like. So do second y equals, second y equals. It says turn my plot on. So choose number 1, plot 1. Turn it on. Choose the first type, the first graph with dots, which is this one that's already chosen. And then make sure X list says L1. If it doesn't, you can do second one. So second one. If it doesn't, make sure Y list is L2. If it doesn't have it, you can type second 2, but mine are all there. You can change the marks. I'm just going to leave it on what it had already picked as the default. And then it says to hit zoom 9, but I think it would prefer if you do second mode to get out of it, and then hit zoom, and then scroll down to number 9, or hit the number 9, so zoom stat, and you see that these points do make a shape that looks like it's a parabola, that is quadratic. That means quadratic regression would be appropriate. If these points made a straight line, you wouldn't want to use quadratic regression, we would use linear regression. So now, to do quadratic regression, we're going to go back and hit the stat button. We're going to arrow over to the calculate menu. And last time we choose number 4, linear regression. Now we're going to choose number 5, which is quadratic regression. Number 5. Okay, I added in, just to make sure we know what's there. Make sure your X list is L1. If it's not, do second 1. Make sure your Y list is L2. If it's not, do second 2. Make sure your frequency list is blank. In store regression equation, I'm just going to have you type this so that you don't have to type it in directly yourself. So remember, this is where we're going to put the Y1, and we can do that by going to vars, arrow over to y vars, choose function, and then choose y1. And then you're going down to calculate, hitting enter, and it gives us this equation. So if it then, our directions say, we can actually type it in a y equals. I can hit graph. It's already in y equals because I did the story regression equation. If I type graph, we see that this function does indeed fit all those points. So remember, that was the equation. Y equals negative 0.26. Lots of extra numbers there. X squared plus 22.59, lots of extra numbers here. X plus 23.02 and lots of extra numbers here. Okay, that's our graph. So we can also, let me turn the lights back on in the classroom because you know how they turn off on me. So you're going to go through some problems where you're working through things like that. We made a scatter plot, we did the regression feature, check out how the model fits. That's looking at the graph of it through the points. You're going through and predicting some things. So use the quadratic regression to figure that all out. Now on the last page, it doesn't look like we could use this, but you really can. So you're not going to do those problems. The sub shouldn't assign those. But you should be able to look at 31 through 39. And the way you can do this using quadratic regression is, we've got 3 points. We've got x, y, x, y, x, y. Put all the x's in L1, put all the y's in L2. So for example, I'm going to go back into stat. I'm going to clear these out, going up to L2, hitting clear, enter, going up to L1, hitting clear, enter. So for 31, my x's are -4, 0, 1. My y's are -3, -2, 7. Now, just going to do the quadratic regression. See if the light is better over here. So quadratic regression, remember I'm going to stat, arrow over to calc, choosing number 5. Okay, X list is L1, Y list is L2, frequency list is blank. In story regression equation, I am going to choose vars, Y vars, function, Y1. Then I'm going to calculate. And this is my equation. It's going to be 2.05 x squared plus 6.95 x minus 2. If you wanted to see that all together, you could hit y equals. You're going to see a bunch of zeros apparently filled in. But there's your equation. You don't need all those extra zeros. So a little bit more exact. I guess it rounded for us in the other menu. But so you can do this the same way. Have fun. Please complete this. Please turn this into the sub. I will be checking it, and I will see you next class.